Hi, you're watching Community Shield, a program brought to you by the Houston Police Department, airing every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock here in Now Media, Heraldo Media Group, and of course, their network of TV stations and radio stations all over this country. Welcome to this program. Today, we have a very interesting topic, something that's pretty hot out there, animal cruelty. Animal attacks, something that's been happening and has gone up since the beginning of COVID, animal attacks, and there are many reasons, and we're going to be discussing some of these reasons and, of course, how to prevent yourself from being attacked by an animal, or what happens when you are getting attacked by an animal. What are the best practices? Stick around. And also, the summer's here. It's hot. So what do we do with our pets? How do we keep them safe? So stick around for that. We're going to have Megan Sample from BARC. She is part of the Animal Enforcement Unit. And, of course, we're also going to have HPD officer, an investigator from Major Offenders Animal Cruelty Unit. Officer Nicholes is one of our trainers. He trains our cadets. He keeps us updated in some of the latest and greatest information that's coming out. And he's going to be talking about some of the ordinance updates. So take note of that. Now, before we keep going with the program here at Community Shield, we're going to let you just check out these images from the August National Night Out celebrations. Now, the city of Houston celebrates National Night Out on October the 4th, but these are some of the our city partners that and friends and community members that wanted to get started on that, just as a good excuse to invite police to go out there. So check out these images, and then we're going to come back with our friends from the Houston Police Department, animal cruelty, and much, much more. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys, this is National Night Out. This is the August one. So there's an early celebration that some communities did, because National Night Out has 2 dates. People can choose to either do August 2nd or they can do October the 4th. Now, for the states that get really cold earlier by October, then they give them the option of August. And Houston, Harris County, we are for October the 4th. Now, this is August. Some communities have decided to host National Night Out in August as a good excuse, a good reason to have cops come out and speak to the community. So this is what we're doing today here in National Night Out. We are in the west side of Houston, and we have West Side Command with us here. We have Officer Jones working the machine real hard. How are you doing, Officer Jones?
I'm doing fantastic. Welcome to National Night Out. Let's turn up.
Come on. You got to do the dance. Happy dance.
Happy.
All right, Jones. So what are we doing, Jones, here?
We're making some snow cones for this little one. Hard press. Okay, gotcha.
All right. Okay, good deal. What is your name?
Lucas.
What was that?
Lucas.
Yeah, how old are you?
Yes.
Yeah? You want a snow cone?
A red one.
You want strawberry or bubble gum?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. He wants strawberry. All right, we're going to get him some strawberry, Jones. All right, look at her. She's got to do... All right. So let's get to meet some of the officers here at West Side, the Community Service Unit. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
¿Cómo se llama? What's your name?
Officer Corral.
Corral in the house. Corral, yes.
That's right, Officer Corral.
Eso, échale Corral. ¿De qué parte Corral? Where are you from?
Nacido.
Yeah, nacido
De aquí, de Houston.
originario.
Originario es de Spring Branch y después aquí también Ailey, pero moví para Spring Branch cuando estaba 13 años.
13 años, órale. ¿En family de dónde?
De Chihuahua, México.
Puro Chihuahua. ¿Cómo se grita en Chihuahua? ¿Cómo se grita?
No, yo no sé.
No, hombre, no sabe cómo se grita en Chihuahua.
No sé. Nunca, casi
A ver, haga el intento, a ver. Y así se grita en Chihuahua. Chihuahua, this is how they do their grito.
They do it like this.
There you go. Come on, give it up. Yeah, come on. Yes, that's right, sir. All right, we got Officer Gwen. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Just having a good time here. National Night Out for August. It's kind of hot out here for us, but it feels good, right?
Oh yeah, it feels much better.
So what do we do? What unit are you in?
With Westside DRT.
DRT. What do you guys do in DRT?
We basically handle our citizen complaint, quality of life. You know what people can do to improve the safety of the neighborhood.
All right. Safety of neighborhood, quality of life.
Yes.
Good job, Mr. Gwen. You want to send a shout out to somebody out there?
Not really.
No, you want to send a shout out to Lieutenant Lou? No. How about Commander? No, Rick Hardy. No.
I'm
All right, okay, we're gonna let Mr. Robertson over here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good. So you also represent community service?
Yes, both community service out of West Side. Yeah.
So for my friends that are preparing for the October National Night Out, any words of wisdom for them?
Just reach out to us soon. Let us know about the parties. Make sure you get your schedule so we can get some officers out there to you.
Okay, and we talk some crime prevention.
Talk some crime prevention, bring some stickers, and hopefully some goodies for the kiddos.
There you go. All right, there it is. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. All right. So how did you feel doing your first snow cones, Jones?
I felt pretty good. You know what? Just kind of fall under there, get that pressure going, get that ice going, scoop the cup.
Show me the muscles.
And hey, here we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. How you doing, Mrs. Luisa Buford? How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm doing fine. This is fun.
So you're celebrating National Night Out today?
Yes.
Why is it so important to celebrate National Night Out? Why? Is it just a party, or is
There's
it
time
meeting?
to talk to anybody. This is a good excuse.
I like that.
This is what I was saying earlier. This is a good excuse to get police out here to celebrate together, right?
Well, it's better than a robbery.
Yeah.
It's way more fun.
There you go. You want to send a shout out to anybody watching right now, social media and our HPD Facebook?
No, I know nobody.
You know nobody. I heard you're the mover and shaker here.
Not yet.
All right.
It's early.
All right. Let's continue going for a couple of more seconds over here as we continue to say hi to our friends. All right, guys, how you guys doing? What is your name?
I'm Renee.
Renee, I heard you are the organizer.
Yes.
So tell me what the importance of National Night Out.
The importance for crime prevention and crime awareness.
Crime prevention and awareness.
Right.
All right.
Letting the criminals know we're not going to tolerate any abuse on this property. And
We ain't playing around here.
we're not playing around here.
Say we ain't playing.
We're not playing around here.
Preach it.
We're not playing around here. Hey, y'all got to go. In the cell.
Okay. Us or the okay.
All right.
Okay, all right. So what about my friend over here? He looks like he's busy. He's writing something over here. What are you writing?
I'm just helping out, for the event, like neighbor.
Okay.
So just glad that we were able to do this event.
Okay.
Between our homeowners, and I'm glad to be here and enjoying, the vibe.
All right. Where are you guys from?
I'm from Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah, Venezuela. My wife right there, she's Peruvian.
Okay. Peru in the house.
Peru, yes.
All right. So any words of wisdom you want to say to everybody on the upcoming National Night Out in October?
Well, just show up and support us, support everybody, This is for the community, for, all the neighbors, homeowners are welcome to come over,
So we're barely getting started here. The people are barely coming out. We're doing this before the sun comes down. Let's get one more person on this side as she's preparing the food over here. Let's see who's cooking over here. What is your name?
Nikki.
Nikki. Are you sure?
I'm a catering business. I cater all kinds of events. I started cooking when I was 16.
So you must be cooking a whole lot.
Yes, I cook a whole lot.
Imagine she started when she was 16 and you're still all right, and she can cook. So we're gonna taste some of that food later on, okay? All right, this is National Night Out. Es el día de conocer a tu vecino, National Night Out. We're starting here in the West Side with the West Side Command, and the party's about to get started, so we're gonna get busy over there making some snow cones. Nos vemos. We'll see you later. Raspas con la policía. You guys speak Spanish?
They don't.
They don't. You do. Can you say raspas? There you go. Raspas con la policía. Can everybody go, yay? Oh, come on, better. Yay! I want the parents. I want to see the parents go, yay. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
West Side. Estamos celebrando el Día de los Vecinos. How are you doing, sir? What is your name?
Victor.
Victor. What about you?
Alan.
Alan. What about you?
Mark.
Okay, Mark. Don't get mad, Mark. Okay. What about you?
Crystal.
Crystal.
Crystal. Crystal.
Okay, what about you? Huh? Jeremiah. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do some musical chairs here, guys, as we celebrate National Night Out. Can you guys say National Night Out?
National Night Out.
A little louder. Come on. 1, 2, 3, go.
National Night Out.
All right, National Night Out. This is how we celebrate. Let me just give you some caution here. Do not break the chair. Grab it gently, okay, and do a little drop gently. Show them how. Gently. Gently. You see that? Don't. I don't want to have to call 911. Okay, we don't have to put this on the news. We got people injured playing musical chairs. All right? Con cuidadito. No se me vaya a romper una cadera. Por ahí, despacito. Say, can you say suave, suavecito?
Suave, suavecito.
Despacito. Suave, suavecito.
Despacito.
¿Te la sabes?
Pasito, pasito, suave, suavecito. Pasito, pasito, suave, suavecito.
Here we go. All right, here we go. We're gonna start, guys. Here we go. Musical chairs. We start now. Dale, Jeremías. Just please do not break my chairs here. Mark, what happened to you, Mark?
Well, you quicker than I was.
Okay, Mark, all right. No hard feelings, Mark. Don't get upset. So who's gonna win this?
Me.
Who's gonna win? Oh, yeah. Okay. That was pretty wise. Let's go. Honor. Was that it? Yeah? Okay. Congratulations to Cristal! Can everybody say National Night Out? Can you say it louder? Can you say it louder? National Night Out.
No.
All right, we continue with Community Shield of the Houston Police Department on Now Media Channel 2110 in the city of Houston and all of our surroundings, and of course the different markets all over the United States. We want to send a shout out to our friends from Chicago that are watching us and are also listening on 102.9, also in San Antonio. Thank you so much in Louisiana, also for joining us, and of course every single other market, in even in Mexico, that's checking this program out. Now Media, Heraldo Media Group, an awesome partnership that we have with the Houston Police Department to get this information out. The city of Houston has this very, very unique program, and the Houston Police Department is so excited to be able to do this every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and of course on Saturdays a repeated show of Community Shield. Now we also have some Houston Police representation here. He's one of our instructors. He goes out to the academy and speaks to hundreds, if not thousands, of officers all the time, and tells us what the latest and greatest is with animals, with animal cruelty, with responsible ownership, or just the basic things of how a Houston police officer is to go out and enforce the basic laws. We're not experts in every single thing, but that's what we have our friends from Major Offenders and Animal Cruelty Unit, like Officer Nicholes, that's going to come and expand on every single thing that has to do with animal abuse and all of that. He's also going to be touching on what to do if you actually are attacked by a dog. If the dog comes at you and you're going to get attacked, what do you have to do right at that moment? We don't touch those subjects. You don't see much of that anywhere else, but he's going to, of course, talk about it, and of course you're going to be able to listen to it, pick some things out of there, and see with your capacity, what can you actually apply? So, Officer Nicholes, how are you doing? Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Tell us a little bit about you, please. And what do you do?
My name is Officer Nicholes. I've been with the Houston Police Department 7 years. I've been investigating animal cruelty for 3 years. I've been all over the city, north side, south side,
investigating everything from municipal code violations, penal code violations, Class C to felony, as well as engaging in citizen tips, pet store inspections, and severe cases of bites.
Sure. Severe cases of bites. Let's start with some of the terminology. What is considered to be a dangerous dog or a dangerous animal?
So a dangerous dog is typically registered once it has bitten somebody. However, any citizen can go to a city website and register a dog as dangerous even if it has not bit, based on its attitude towards the public. So if a dog has gotten loose multiple times, it's been seen chasing kids or other people up and down the street, a citizen can fill out an affidavit online and register the dog as dangerous. Then
is this considered for loose dogs or the neighbor's dog, or how does that apply?
So any person can fill out a dangerous dog affidavit. They just have to follow through with the court hearing and give their testimony as to why they believe the dog is dangerous.
Sure.
If the court determines the dog is dangerous, then the owner will be required to have a dangerous dog tag, which is a bright red tag, so everybody may know that that dog is dangerous. And of course, there's fines if they do not comply with that.
I always get that complaint. My neighbor does not secure his dog.
Right.
He's always out. He jumps the fence, and he's chasing people on the streets.
Right. And that is a common issue that we deal with, and sometimes it's frustrating for the owners. You know, they try different methods to try and contain the dog, and the dog is hyperactive and it finds ways to get out. So in those situations, we prefer to try and educate the owners and try to help them figure out a way. With the new laws that came out on January 18th, in which a dog can't be restrained with a chain, a lot of owners complain that, well, nothing else is going to hold my dog. But something to remember is, as an owner, you have possession of that dog's life is in your care, and if there's no other method or way for you to figure out how to control that dog, the maybe more responsible choice is to give the dog to somebody who can.
Yeah.
And that's a hard decision to make as a pet owner.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
you have to think in the greater scope of what's good for the animals.
Sure.
So we try to do our best to work with citizens and families of pet owners. But in some cases, it's just negligence. Some people are told by neighbors, hey, your dog got out, and it might be the second or third time it's bitten somebody.
Sure.
However, I will say that not always, the bite isn't always reported. So I would recommend that if a dog bites somebody, please call, so that we can document the dog, so that the dog may be tested, and to ensure that it didn't transmit any zoonotic diseases to you. Go to the doctor, make sure you do get checked out if a dog bites you.
Sure. Now, rabies. Why are dogs so? Rabies is very dangerous, right?
Right, and rabies can kill you. It is a disease that attacks your neurological system.
Sure.
It'll travel up into your brain and basically shut your brain down. Originally, they used to call it hydrophobia because you would foam at the mouth, you would lose the ability to swallow water, and then so people thought they became hydrophobic or waterphobic. But really, it was a side effect of rabies. Once rabies reaches your brain and you show symptoms of having it, there's no longer a way for us to treat you or cure you. It is deadly.
Wow.
So the only way to treat and stop rabies is to immediately go to a doctor, get a injection. It's in the area of the bite, so that it can stop where it bit, where the injection of the rabies came from. Rabies does not have a set time of when it will set in. If you're bitten on the leg, it might take longer for it to take effect versus if you were bitten on the shoulder. So you don't really have a known time frame. So
Sure.
I really suggest going to a doctor whenever you get bit.
Just like when you step on a nail, you got to get it taken care of real quick. You don't know if that nail is rusty. You don't know if that nail has anything that's going to cause to lose your foot or get some sort of nasty infection. Same thing with a dog, right?
And yes, and rabies aren't the only disease that animals can carry. There's many zoonotic diseases. They can carry Lyme disease, anthrax. There's all sorts of diseases that we don't know what that dog might have. So protect yourself and make sure you do get checked out. The main concern is getting you healthy and making sure the dog is healthy. And one of the requirements for when a dog bites is quarantining the animal and having it tested.
Sure.
If they do not comply with that quarantine, then they're subject to citation. And we sometimes seize the animals if the dog is a repeat biter and the owners just fail to comply over and over again, for the safety of the public, we'll remove the dog from that environment.
I like that. Now, let's say you deal with an animal. Is there a way that we can find out that animal has rabies, or is that something that no, we need to? The animal's not going to necessarily show any signs of anything.
Right. So there are some signs that show on the dog. We have city ordinances that require you to vaccinate your dog with a rabies vaccine yearly. Annually,
Sure.
you have to have a dog rabies vaccine. If you don't, that's subject to citation. But the certain signs that show for rabies, primarily it's easier to identify with nocturnal animals such as raccoons. Raccoons come out at night. So if
Sure.
you see a raccoon in the day wandering around, it appears to be drunk or it looks
Wow.
lost or confused.
Sure.
Stay away from that animal. You should never approach a wild animal because animals are unpredictable. But specifically with nocturnal animals, bats, you don't know what's going on with that animal. It's best to keep your distance. With dogs, there's that stereotypical foaming of the mouth. However, that's not always the case for rabies because dogs will foam at the mouth when they get overheated and they heavy pant. So not always, but if you see a dog, he's got some foam around his mouth, again, I just recommend not approaching an animal you don't know.
Now, I know HPD takes the education side very as the most important element when we go out, when we get called for a loose dog, we find the owner. It's not the priority, it's not to be writing people citations.
Correct.
We like to educate. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we do prefer to educate. Citing and seizing is not our number one goal. Our number one goal is to ensure the safety of the animals and ensure the safety of the people. Now, there's different ways we can go about that. If an owner is, cooperative, compliant, they want to make sure that their dog is up to date, then we'll of course defer to animal control and BARC and see if they can schedule an appointment to get that dog checked and get all of his rabies. If they have an issue with the dog getting loose, we'll suggest different kinds of tethering and the legal parameters around tethering, such as the dog's tether has to be 10 feet long. It can't be with a chain, so a running cable, or just keeping the dog inside. If we see a large amount of feces where the dog typically rests, we advise them you have to clean that every day. If the water's dirty, it has to be clean, drinkable water. It has to be changed out every day. And same with food. We have a lot of flies in Texas. With the heat in the summer, if you put out food and it's 2 days have gone by and the dog hasn't eaten there's going to be flies all over that food, and that's
Sure.
no longer healthy for that animal.
Is that how that heartworm ends up occurring?
Correct.
because of that?
That's one way. It can spread through fecal exposure. But dogs, they don't wear socks or shoes. They're running
Sure.
around in the dirt and in the grass. And if they make contact with it, then they can catch hookworm, heartworm, roundworm. It can all be intaken that way. So it is important to keep your animal's living conditions clean, that you do pick up the feces routinely,
Sure.
and that the food does stay fresh, so that way they don't ingest, because heartworms are deadly to dogs. Any kind of intestinal parasite is going to degrade the animal. One of the situations we run into is we come upon a dog that's very skinny,
Sure.
to the point of emaciation, and an owner is feeding it, but they don't understand why it's not gaining weight. One major cause might be the intestinal parasites.
Sure.
And if you do not take the dog to the vet, you'll never know. And so they will continue to feed it, and the dog will never get better. And then that's how we'll receive a report of they're not taking care of their dog. So that can be frustrating for an owner. It can be frustrating for the neighbors. And we just want to educate and try to get people on the right path to getting that dog the best care possible.
Is having the area clean also an element of animal abuse if there is
Yes.
some extreme?
Yes. So there's two ways that can be perceived. So a buildup of feces, if it's a couple of days, there's a Class C citation called failure to promptly dispose of feces, which ourselves, animal control, and any patrol officer can cite you for. If it gets excessive, then we have a cruel confinement penal code. And if we get to a point where we see a dog that's cruelly confined and he is in constant contact of feces and urine, we'll take that dog out of that environment with a seizure and ensure that that dog can get treatment for any kind of diseases and parasites it might obtain, because that's no way for a dog to live in constant contact of feces and urine.
Now, if we have suspicion, I'm a neighbor, and I have a suspicion that my neighbor is abusing his animals. I see these animals either extremely skinny or hear them constantly crying. And when do we call police?
Right. So in any emergency, whether you think it's an emergency, please call 911. Patrol will get there as quickly as possible, and we can do a report and follow up and make sure that the animal is not being cruelly treated and start our investigation. They can report it to us. They can also report to animal control. We also have a website, 927-PAWS. That is the Harris County Animal Cruelty Task Force, which encompasses multiple precincts, Precinct 5, ourselves and major offenders, animal control, and we all communicate and work together to make sure that we support each other. So the Harris County Task Force for Animal Cruelty, the website 927-PAWS. You can go on there and report. We'll receive the reports and respond to them as quickly as possible.
There it is. Animal cruelty is something that the Houston Police Department takes very serious, and it's just like abusing a child, right? Somebody that abuses an animal, it's correlated. It's correlated to even family violence, domestic abuse, and all of this.
Correct. We've seen a correlation in family abuse and animal abuse. Typically, if you have an abusive spouse or an abusive parent or whatever it may be, it doesn't always just start with the child or with the spouse. If there's an animal, that animal might become the focus of frustration, of anger, and the animal has to take the blame. And we'll see that, typically in family violence situations, if there's an animal in the house, that animal might also have been abused. And we want to make sure that anybody who's in a dangerous situation like that is protected and taken care of, whether it be the dog, the child, the spouse, anyone.
Animal abuse correlated to domestic violence, and we see it all over the place. Even animals become victims also of these people. Again, the Houston Police Department is here to serve you. If you have any suspicion of animal abuse, your neighbor, who knows, calling the police and getting police involved just to check on that pet might lead us to other things. It might lead us to other type of abuses inside that house. Who knows? But only you are our eyes and ears. You are the force multiplier. You are the one that's going to help us get into these places that we cannot be in. Now stick around for just a moment, because we will go into what happens when an animal attacks here in Community Shield with the Houston Police Department. Don't go anywhere.
We're told that Kaylee wasn't the driver, but Kaylee was the only one that wasn't wearing her seatbelt.
It's such a preventable thing, to buckle your seatbelt, and if she had her seatbelt on, she would still be here today.
All right, so the moment that we've been waiting for, the action.
Yes, sir.
The romance, desire. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so now we are faced with a situation where there is a dog that is willing to attack you and is going to attack you.
Correct.
Okay. What to do when the attack is already imminent?
Right. So if a dog attack is imminent, there's no sure way to avoid injury. An injury is possible. In an event that that you're going to be bit by a dog, one of the strategies or techniques we may use is to provide it and choose what you want it to bite. If you present your non-dominant arm and it focuses on your arm, you may be able to use your free hand to then control the animal. This is, of course, only when there's a bite imminent.
Sure.
Another technique you may use, if the dog is going to bite down, is to attempt to force your hand and arm down into the dog's mouth, which will then proceed it to have a gag reflex.
Sure.
And kind of counter the bite. And in any case, you should fight. Don't lay down and play dead. You should try to get the animal actively off of you. But providing what it may focus on will give you the opportunity to use your free hand to manipulate the dog and pull it away from you.
So if he's biting an arm, is it good to yank the hand out to jerk it out, or is it kind of good to go with the pull? That way he doesn't minimize the damage.
Right. So if a dog latches on, you have a dog bite, don't rip the arm, don't pull the arm, don't fight the arm, don't flail, because if the teeth have penetrated your skin and you pull, now it's going to tear muscle and skin, and that can cause even more damage than just the immediate punctures. If a dog bites, the puncture is there. If the dog attempts to shake or ragdoll the arm, again, a good technique is to use that free hand to control the dog's head, control the movement of the animal, be loud, try to get some attention, try to get some help. If you're in a street, we've had many cases where a person's bit, they begin screaming and neighbors come out to help them. In those situations, best to try and control it.
Sure. That's why it's so important that you're out there where people can see you. Visibility. Right. Don't take these alleys. Don't take any of these just places where no one's there. It's always good to have somebody with you. It's always good to travel in twos, right? So you can keep each other checked out.
Right. Yes, sir.
Take this advice, and again, this is the most extreme situation. If you do get bit by a dog, you got to do something, right? And we got to talk about that now. Is there anything else, Officer Nicholes, that would you like to include in the program? I'm sure there's 2 hours that you can cover.
Yes, sir. Just that, if you're a pet owner, be responsible. Ensure that the dog has good food, water, shelter, everything that you would want as an owner. Be sure you keep them up with vaccinations. Spay and neuter. If you do not have the decision to let that animal breed, please spay and neuter it so that there's no accidental impregnations. That comes with a whole nother, cost to it. And then
you got to take care of the babies.
Yes. And please call if you have any concerns. If you're bit, please call police. Please call animal control. We're here to help you. So.
Spay neutering is a good thing. We already have enough animals, enough dogs running around the streets. So if you're a pet owner, spay neuter your dog. If you see a dog out there that may be causing some problems, call HPD out there so we can do some preventative work. We can catch a dog with a dog leash and get BARC out there to take over and take this animal to a place where maybe we could find the dog owner. Let's just do our part. If you see a pack of dogs on the street, they're just running around.
Do not approach.
Do not approach, right?
Sometimes the best thing to do is go the other direction. If you have to take the long way home, take the long way home, because one animal can be dangerous enough, but in a group, they will follow one another. So if one dog frenzies and comes after you, then the others might as well. So sometimes the best decision is just to go the other way, or call for help, or get out of their reach. Get on the other side of a fence, get on top of a car, avoid being bit.
Yes, and if you have a nuisance situation in your neighborhood and you say, I've called the police already so many times, keep calling. Visit your PIP, your positive interaction with police meetings, and bring the problem to that PIP. There is a PIP close to you. Bring those problems right there. There's a captain, there's always a commander, there's always a lieutenant, and there's always DRT, the differential response team. They will go out there and they'll do an assessment. If they have to get our animal crew out there to do some work, or special ops, if we need to get BARC out there, they'll be out there. DRT, differential response team, is that unit that takes care of all these nuisance problems that patrol can't handle in a moment, because they're taking care of some of those very dangerous incidents.
Yep. And I have to praise our DRT teams. They're very good. I've worked with many of them.
Sure.
On a daily basis. I'll call them, and they may call me, and we work together very often. So they're great units.
There you go. From Major Offenders, Animal Cruelty Unit, Officer Nicholes here, joining us in Community Shield with the Houston Police Department. Don't forget to share the program. Share it. Share it. Share it.
My face and head is what broke the windshield.
The car flipped 8 times. I went out the window. I broke my tailbone, shattered my pelvis.
I could see my boyfriend's mom laying face down in the water. She didn't survive. I should have just said, everybody buckle up.
It's such a simple act that takes a few seconds.
I don't want anyone to have to go through what I've had to go through. You never get over it.
All right, we continue with Community Shield of the Houston Police Department. We want to thank our friends from Now Media for allowing this program to be on their multiple platforms. For example, Amazon Prime, you got Apple TV and YouTube and all of that good stuff. Also want to acknowledge HPD Social Media, our chief, Troy Finner, for also trusting in the material that we are putting in Community Shield of the Houston Police Department. Juan Guevara, thank you so much. And Gustavo for doing the magic back there in the production studio. But as we were talking about today, we're going to be discussing animals, dogs. You know, we have seen incidents that have been occurring all over the city, all over the region, that have to do with animal bites, that have to do with vicious animals, but also people not being responsible with their animals, with their pets. Hot vehicles, dogs left in there, found dead. You know, all these issues, there is a way to be responsible, and we're going to discuss a lot of this in this program today. Now we have our friend, she is Megan Sample. She is a BARC officer, yes, and she works in the Animal Enforcement Unit with BARC. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. It's an endeavor really to have you guys here. I'm really excited. I've been trying to get you guys in Community Shield for a while, and these events have been happening all over the place. Now, first, tell me a little bit about you and tell me about BARC.
Oh, okay. So I've been at BARC for about 5 years now. Working in the shelter and animal handling and everything that entails. And just recently I moved over to animal enforcement. And I'm really digging it.
All right, you're digging it. You like it, yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's a really big picture, and everything that we experience in the shelter starts in the field.
Okay, tell me, what does a day look like for you there in BARC?
Right now, we come in the mornings, we grab our things, and we head out.
Breakfast.
Maybe eat some breakfast.
Maybe get some coffee.
At least maybe 2 cups of coffee. No big deal. And then we head out and we start running our calls. The day can consist of, well, mostly it's a lot of bite case calls. We investigate our bite case calls. We have our, our neglect, our city ordinance calls, strays, and so on.
Sure. Let's talk about strays. Let's talk about dangerous dogs.
Okay.
We have seen these incidents come up and pop up all over the city. Dogs out there, people not knowing how to handle a situation when you see a loose dog, a pit bull. Tell me a little bit about how do we handle situations when we have a loose dog?
So if let's say you're walking home from the bus, or maybe even putting your groceries up, and there's a dog, a loose dog, an unfamiliar dog, or maybe familiar, we don't know. But first thing, don't run from the dog.
Okay.
Don't run. A lot of times the dog's just minding its own business. Sometimes people are afraid of dogs, and that's the first instinct, is to run. But don't run.
What goes through the mind?
The mind of the dog, or of the person? Of the person is, oh man, this is dog.
Both.
Right? I think with the dog, when you run, that chase kicks in. So if they maybe weren't interested in you before, or maybe they were just kind of in the area, they see you run, they hear you kind of shuffle your feet and go, and they're like, oh, chase. Sometimes squirrel, yeah, go get it, the prey drive,
Sure.
So a lot of times they will kind of leave you alone. Don't call out to the dog. If you don't know the dog, don't call out to the dog, because a lot of times things can get weird real quick.
Okay.
But don't run. Main thing, don't run. Back away slowly, or get into your car slowly. Whatever you can do it slowly and calmly.
Okay. So I see that there's a lot of it has to do with with us, with the humans? How
Right,
do
with
we
our body
react
language
to the
and-
body language?
exactly.
To trigger these dogs.
Right.
Okay.
You know, which is like what I said about the running. You know, a lot of it is our body language that that we are communicating something to the dogs that we don't realize
Sure.
by our gestures, by our movements, our fear, even. You know, like I mean, even with people, like maybe if you're stressed out or you're scared, I can tell that because I can see it in your face. You know, the dogs pick up on that too. They pick up on the body language.
Sure.
Yes, so it's a lot of what we're doing. So which is why it's important to remain calm.
Now, I've done this before, and I'm gonna put it out there because I've done it, and I'm curious to see if I've done the right thing.
Okay.
It's worked twice, and this is me as a civilian on the street
Sure.
doing my jog.
Yes.
I got this dog staring at me. I stare at him. He stares at me, and I stare back at him, right? And I
Okay.
want to see what his move is gonna be.
Right.
So as I'm kind of just trotting, right, just jumping a little bit there, then he starts running towards me like.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what I've done, but again, I'm not recommending it. I'm gonna see if I'm if I
okay.
did the right thing. I kind of looked at the dog and looked at it and just ran towards it and kind of with a
Right.
purpose, and the dog kind of just turned around. and ran
Right.
away.
Sometimes it depends.
Sure.
It depends on your size in relation to the dog too, right?
Sure.
So you're taller than I am, so you might necessarily be a little bit maybe more intimidating to do such a thing. Sometimes, like for me,
Sure.
if there's a dog or even a group of dogs that are looking at me and like maybe they're gonna get a little fresh, you know,
What does that mean, a little fresh?
a little fresh, like they're gonna run up on me, you know what that means. But I'll you know, kind of firmly like I'll kind of squawk at him a little bit, like don't come over here, make good choices. You know,
Like you take control of it and you
yes,
you take a firm
voice, firm actions.
Sure.
Be sure in your movements. You know, if you start acting flinchy and whatever, then they're like, oh, it's like they're more interested and they start to progress. But just be sure in your movements. Don't turn your back on them.
Sure.
You know, face them. Maybe kind of slowly back away, like I said, which is the safest and most universal thing that a lot of people can do, because sometimes with age or abilities, you know, it's not everybody can take that stance of, hey, I'm bigger than you, don't mess with me, you know.
Sure.
So just be sure in your movements, be calm, ignore the fear, and slowly
breathe.
Yeah, just take a breath and
Jump on a car, maybe on the back
jump
of a
on
car,
a car,
the hood of a car.
in the trunk, in the bed of a truck or something.
Sure.
You know, we've seen a bunch of things of how people can get away. And if they aren't leaving you alone, call for help. Call 911. Call your neighbor. Call somebody. Hey, I need another person to help me.
Yeah, I've read some tips, and they say feed the dog. Who's going to carry food for you?
Oh, yeah.
You're joking, but
You know, sometimes the situation just works out.
Sure.
You know, like maybe you just got dinner and you're like, oh, take it. And it'll distract them enough to get out of there.
Okay, good. All right, so again, I think something we've heard is remain calm. Don't do any quick movements. Don't do anything like that. And do dogs smell fear? Or is that just something people use?
You know, I don't have a solid answer for that. You know, they say that they can, but I think it all kind of boils down to your body language.
Body language. All right. So let's talk about BARC. When is the proper time to call BARC out there to as a civilian person? Is there such thing? Tell me the process of BARC. When does BARC get involved in these dog situations?
Well, which particular situation are you talking about?
For example, now we got police. Police just get police regular patrol unit gets called out there.
Okay.
The officer is pretty knowledgeable on how to deal with dogs. He's got the leash and everything. He's able to put the dog in the leash. And tell me what the process is after that.
So just your standard stray dog
Sure.
situation. So for that situation, a lot of times HPD will call animal enforcement and say, hey, we've got this dog. Maybe it was a little intimidating to someone and I came and I've got him on the leash. Can you come help? Animal enforcement will then come out and assist. and we secure the dog. We'll impound them at BARC, and then they are able to go to adoptions and stuff.
Can sometimes, if you identify the owner, can they come back and pick them up?
So that's the thing. We don't want to take your dog. You know, we all carry microchip scanners. So when we get there, before we get them onto the truck, we'll scan the dog to see if they have a microchip. We'll search it in our system. If it's a quick and easy find for us, you know, we'll try to contact the owner or whoever they have listed on the system, and then we'll not rehome, but we'll give them back to the owner, because a lot of times they just it's accidents and whatever, but yeah, we definitely do our best to get them back to who they belong to.
Now that you bring about the chip, we just heard a story from Channel 13. They've been doing a pretty good coverage on this dog that was lost for 5 years.
Oh, I heard about that.
And they were able to get that dog from all the way North Texas and find a family and now bring them back together. I don't know if the dog's going to be the same. I mean, definitely it's not
I don't
gonna
know,
be the same.
man. Right? I know what you mean.
He was a pup, and then now he's a 5-year-old. He's a pretty old dog now.
Well, even in my experience at BARC, when I was working in the shelter, we've had an experience like that of a dog was, I think, like 9 or 10 years old, and had one particular owner for several years. And one lady reached out and she said, "Hey, this dog looks like a dog that I knew when it was about a year old." For whatever reason, she had the microchip number and it matched, and we were able to take that dog back to that lady who knew that dog, who wanted that dog, was separated from the dog. It was a really enriching experience.
Okay. Now, we are in the summer. Temperatures are up and temperatures are rising. Have you seen anything going out there with dogs and maybe some tips that people need to consider about animal safety in these times?
Right. So I haven't had any of those calls myself, but I do know that they are happening. It can be very dangerous. A dog in a hot car, anything and anyone in a hot car is very dangerous in these heats, in this heat. But if, for instance, you come across a dog that is in a hot car, immediately call for help. I know a lot of people see the videos of break the window and get them out of there. Check the doors. Check the doors first.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
right. Just check the doors. But call for help. Help is readily available, and they'll be there. But yeah, don't leave your dog in a hot car. Heat stroke sets in fairly quickly and can be very dangerous.
And that could have some copious tickets and
100%. So it's animal cruelty. Really is what it is. You can get citations, or depending on the situation, even more severe consequences.
Sure. Now let's do a little bit about people that lose their dogs. The animal goes out and I lose my dog. What do I do? What's some recommendations that we have from?
Okay, so obviously, if you lose your dog, you're going to check your surrounding areas, right? Probably check the neighborhood first. So anytime, like let's say your dog gets out and animal enforcement picks them up because they're out and we got them. All the animals that come into the shelter, we take a picture of them and we post them online. That website's updated. I think it's like every 3 hours or so. So you'll be able to check that all day to see if your animal is there. You can also contact BARC, or even the BARC website will have a whole list of our straight weight dogs, or even our adoptable dogs that maybe it's been a little while and for whatever reason maybe you missed it, or maybe you were out of town, but you'll be able to see all the dogs on there.
There it is. There it is. Now, let's ask you one more thing. For people that love animals and they just have the heart for them, is BARC and animal enforcement, is this a good career for someone that loves pets and has pets? And and are you guys out there? Are you guys looking for any more people to join the club there?
Oh, definitely. Always looking for more people to come through. It is a good career. I love it. You definitely build up a bit of a thicker skin. Some of the things that we come in contact with are a little on the rough side, so it can be a little hard. But what makes it worth it for me is I know that I'm doing everything that I can for these animals while I'm here, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, ownership.
Okay.
Pet ownership.
Mhm.
Responsible owners.
Yes.
Describe me a good owner.
A responsible
pet
owner?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the basics, right? A responsible pet owner, you know, bare minimum is, you know, you keep them fed, you keep them watered, they have shelter, whether it's in your house or outside. You keep them on a leash or keep them in the backyard, you know, up to date on their vaccines.
Sure.
That's one of the most important things is their vaccines. But you know, with the new city ordinance, microchip, pet city license, you know, just common basic care and keep of your animal. You know,
Sure.
if you see that your dog's injured or something, take them to the vet, get them checked out.
You bring about the leashes. I've seen dogs with chains on
Right,
their
yes.
just on their necks, and I've seen them also leashed up, and people complain, hey, the dog is being tied for the entire
Days,
day,
right.
and he's going around his little shelter, and now it's down to a foot, so the
Right,
dog
yeah.
is there stuck. I mean,
Tangled, yeah.
Let's tell me the rules of that.
So I'm glad you brought up the chains. So with the new city ordinance, chains you're not allowed to chain your dog to anything. You can still tether them. You can use a rope or one of those cable runners, but it just can't be a chain around their neck. But in regards to having them tethered, you want it to be a minimum of 10 feet. Now, within reason, right? So if you have a dog on your patio, maybe you don't want to give them 10 feet because you don't want to give them enough room to, I don't know.
Just reach the fence, or
Yes, or be in danger if they were to like jump over the fence, or you know.
Sure, then they choke themselves there. Yeah.
Exactly, and we don't want that. But for your regular outdoor stuff, it's a minimum of 10 feet. But you want to give the dog enough room to kind of stretch his legs,
Sure.
you know, access the food, access the water that you've set out, and all that.
All right. Well, there it is. Let's ask our friend here also if there's any other ordinances that's been updated with this city ordinance. If you have any other updates that would you like to share with us?
I think those are the main ordinances right now. It's just you know, which is not new, but you have to have the rabies vaccine.
Okay.
A new one is the microchip. You are required to have a microchip, which will help your pet find its way home if it is lost, or if it gets out, or what have you. Because every animal that comes into the shelter, they're scanned multiple times with a scanner for a chip. So that way we can be certain that if there is a chip, we're going to find it and we're going to
Sure.
locate the owners.
Oh, it's such a heartwarming image to see somebody having their animal returned. I found
Yes, definitely.
one of those Persian cats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're so beautiful. They're just roaming around my house, and I kind of, went to it, and she was
Yeah.
nice, and she wanted me and everything.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go just give her some shots. So we took her out there. She had a chip.
Good.
They found the owner, called the owner. The owner's like, I'm not interested in having the cat.
Surprise, you got a new
So
cat.
there's a nice, fat Persian cat.
Yeah.
Real fat. Just
fluffy. I like it. Healthy. It's healthy.
very healthy, yes. Just a beautiful cat.
Good.
Just he has a meanest look.
Grumpy face all the time.
Grumpy face.
Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
grumpy face, and when I bathe it, it gets this tiny.
Oh, I bet it does. Oh, I love those kitties.
Anything else you would like to add to the program today from BARC? Any message that you guys just gotta let everybody know?
Oh, well, I mean, adopt a dog. Adopt a dog at BARC. We have a ton of dogs.
Tell us the process. How do we do it?
Oh, it's easy. So you come in, and we have a huge facility. You can take a look at all the different dogs, different ages, sizes, breeds. Just there's so many. And whenever you find one or a few that you like, you spend a little time with them, take them outside, if the personality fits and if that's the one that you want to adopt, then you'll talk to one of the animal care technicians. They give you the paper that you need to go to the front to adopt. and then you just complete the process. You've got to have an ID of some sort, or proof of residency, I think, or just proof of ID, I think is what it is. And then they tell you when you can take them home. Sometimes it's same day, sometimes it's a few days, because they have to be spayed or neutered.
Yes.
But yeah, it's real quick and easy.
There it is. You want to take a new friend? Let's be a responsible owner. Let's not do the birthday gift. You really got to be calculated when you're gonna give somebody an animal, something that they've wanted forever, and you've already thought about it. You made plans, and you've already interviewed your teenager. How are you going to take care of it?
Exactly.
What are you going to do? Because you don't want to give yourself another responsibility if your teenager's not going to stand up and fix.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because so many times when we talk to people, we hear, "Oh, that's my son's dog," and the son is a child or a teenager, and they can barely take care of themselves, much less another dog. So when you do adopt an animal, whatever it is, and you're adopting it for your child, it's really for you. Do you want to take on this responsibility?
True.
It can be a good learning experience for the whole family.
True.
But ultimately, do you want to take on this responsibility?
That's what I'm doing. I've got 3 girls. I got a 5-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 11-year-old.
Okay.
The 11-year-old, she's been wanting a dog, and I'm like, honey, I'm not going to add another child to myself, because I know it's going to be another child.
Yeah.
Show me you're responsible. Show me a good 6 year of good responsibility. You taking your chores serious and everything, and we'll consider.
Right. And you said, look, I got you this cat.
That's right. A nice Persian cat.
Fluffy cat.
Another one.
That's right. Look, it's a cat. Here you go.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you guys are swamped with a lot of work, and you guys are as humane as possible with these
100%.
Animals, and you guys just try to do your best. And
handling is one of our most important things.
Yes, and we wish you the best of luck and blessings on your endeavors and everything that you do. But before we go, I need to ask you the raccoon question. Have you dealt with a raccoon?
I have. I've dealt with a few raccoons.
Okay, they're pretty dangerous, right? They're pretty crazy.
Raccoons? Yeah. Some raccoons, as cute as they are, they can be pretty feisty. So if you find one, leave it alone. If it's in your house, call 311. Animal enforcement will help you out. If it's not in your house, there's other people you can call, or just leave it alone.
We had an Officer Carl Libby.
Okay.
He took a lot of pride and joy that he dealt with the raccoons, and he was able to get them on the leash there and everything. So, all right, just a special greeting to Carl Libby out there in the Midwest.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being here. All right.